Hi, and welcome to Ginger English. I'm Sarah, and today we have an A2 level podcast for you. Okay, so imagine this. You and your best friend open a pizza place together. You work hard every day, you are happy, and then one morning, everything changes. One phone call, one secret. And your best friend is suddenly a stranger. That's what happened to Jake. And today, I'm going to tell you his story. So let's start from the beginning. Jake and Marcus were friends for a long time. They met in high school in a small town called Millfield in Ohio. Millfield is not a big city. It's quiet. There is one main street, a few shops, and a lot of people who know each other. Jake and Marcus went to the same school, played on the same basketball team, and ate lunch together every day for 4 years. After high school, Jake went to college for 2 years, but he didn't finish. It was too expensive. He came back to Millfield and worked at a grocery store. It was okay. Not great, but okay. Marcus stayed in town too. He worked at his uncle's car repair shop. They were still close. On weekends, they watched football games together, cooked burgers in Jake's backyard, and talked about their dreams. And one dream was always the same. They wanted to open a restaurant, not just any restaurant, a pizza place. Millfield doesn't have a good pizza place, Jake always said. People here have to drive 30 minutes to get a decent slice. That's crazy. Marcus always laughed and said, "One day, man, one day." And then one day actually came. It was a Saturday in March. Jake called Marcus and said, "I found a place, a small building on Main Street. The rent is okay. I talked to the owner. We can do this." Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Are you serious?" And Jake said, 100%. That was the beginning of something big, or at least that's what they thought. They named the place Slice and Soul. Jake loved that name. "It's not just pizza," he said. "It's heart. It's us." Marcus liked it too. They painted the walls orange and yellow. They put old photos of Millfield on the walls. They bought a big oven, a very good one, not cheap. They worked 12 hours a day, sometimes more. People in Millfield were curious. A new place on Main Street? They came to look. And when they tasted the pizza, they stayed. Jake made the dough himself every morning at 6 a.m. The sauce was his grandmother's recipe, simple but perfect. In the first month, Slice and Soul was full every Friday and Saturday night. Jake was tired but happy, really happy. He felt like he was exactly where he needed to be. But Marcus was thinking about something else. So the pizza place was doing well. People loved it. Jake was happy. But what about Marcus? Marcus was also working hard. Every day, same as Jake. He helped in the kitchen, he talked to customers, he cleaned the tables at the end of the night. On the outside, everything looked fine. But inside, Marcus was worried. You see, opening a restaurant costs a lot of money. Jake and Marcus used all their savings. Jake used about $12,000. Marcus used $8,000. They also got a small loan from the bank, $15,000. So in total, they started with $35,000. That sounds like a lot, but for a restaurant, it's not much. The oven alone cost $6,000. The rent was $2,000 a month, and then there was food, electricity, equipment, chairs, tables. The list never stopped. In the first month, they made some money, but after paying all the bills, and there was very little left, Jake was not worried. "We are new," he said. "It takes time. People will come. We just need to wait." But Marcus couldn't wait. He had other problems too. His mom was sick. She needed medicine every month, and medicine is expensive in America. Marcus was sending her money every week. His own bank account was getting smaller and smaller. He didn't tell Jake about this. That was the first mistake. Instead, Marcus started to look for other options. One evening, after work, he went on his laptop and started searching. He looked at business websites, at investors, at different companies, and then he found something. A company called Fast Round. Have you heard of it? Probably not if you don't live in Ohio, but in the Midwest, Fast Round was getting big, very big. It was a fast food chain, burgers, fries, cheap pizza. Not great food, but fast and cheap. And they were looking to expand. They wanted to buy small local restaurants and turn them into Fast Round locations. Marcus clicked on their website. He read everything. And then he saw a number, a dollar amount they paid for small restaurants in good locations. It was a lot of money, more than he expected. He closed the laptop. He went to sleep. But the next morning, he opened it again. He told himself it was just research, just looking, nothing more. But that wasn't really true, was it? He called Fast Round, just to ask questions, he said to himself. The person on the phone was very friendly, very professional. They said Millfield was actually on their list. They were very interested in Main Street locations. They asked about Slice and Soul. Marcus answered their questions. And before he knew it, he had a meeting scheduled for the following Thursday. He didn't tell Jake. Thursday came. Marcus said he had a dentist appointment. That was a lie. He drove 40 minutes to a coffee shop in Columbus where two people from Fast Round were waiting for him, a man in a suit and a woman with a laptop and a lot of papers. The meeting was 2 hours long. They showed Marcus numbers, big numbers. They said Fast Round could buy Slice and Soul for $90,000. $90,000. Marcus did the math in his head. After paying back the bank loan and splitting the money with Jake, he would get about $35,000. Maybe more. $35,000. That was more money than he made in 2 years at the car repair shop. The Fast Round people were nice. They smiled a lot. They said things like great opportunity and smart move and your restaurant has real potential in our network. Marcus liked the way they talked. It felt professional. It felt serious. It felt like a real business decision. But here's the thing. It wasn't just his decision to make. At the end of the meeting, the woman pushed a paper across the table. This is a letter of intent, she said. It's not the final contract, but it shows that you are interested. It gives us permission to start the official process. Marcus looked at the paper. He thought about his mom. He thought about the bank loan. He thought about all the early mornings and late nights at Slice and Soul. And he thought, Jake will understand, eventually. He will be upset at first, but then he will see the money and he will understand. So Marcus picked up the pen and he signed. He drove home in silence. He didn't play music. He just stared at the road and told himself it was the right decision, the smart decision. Adults make hard choices sometimes. That's just life. But when he walked into Slice and Soul that evening and saw Jake, Jake was laughing with a customer, wiping his hands on his apron, so comfortable, so at home in that place. Marcus felt something cold move through his chest. He pushed the feeling away. He put on a smile. Hey, he said, sorry I'm late. Dentist took forever. Jake laughed. Dentist? You hate the dentist. You okay? Yeah, Marcus said. All good. But nothing was all good, and deep down, he knew it. The weeks that followed were strange. Marcus acted normal. He came to work. He made pizza. He laughed at Jake's jokes, but he was always checking his phone, waiting for emails from Fast Round. The process was moving forward, quietly, secretly, like a slow fire under the floor that nobody could see yet. And then someone saw something. Her name was Donna. She was a regular customer at Slice and Soul. Every Tuesday, she came in for a slice of pepperoni and a Coke. She was in her 60s, retired, and she knew everyone in Millfield. Small town, remember? Everyone knows everyone. One afternoon, Donna was at the grocery store. She was talking to her neighbor, a woman named Pat, and Pat said something that stopped Donna cold. Did you hear? Fast Round is coming to Main Street. I saw it on their website. They have a new location listed. The address is right where that little pizza place is. Donna put down her groceries. Slice and Soul, are you sure? Pretty sure, Pat said. I looked it up because my grandson loves Fast Round. The address is 114 Main Street, Millfield. Isn't that the pizza place? It was. That was exactly the address of Slice and Soul. Donna didn't say anything to Pat. But the next Tuesday, she came into the restaurant as usual. She sat down. She ordered her pepperoni slice, and she watched. She watched Jake behind the counter, talking to customers, smiling, full of energy. And she thought, does he know? She almost said something, but she wasn't sure. Maybe it was a mistake on the website. Maybe the address was wrong. She didn't want to start problems if it wasn't true, so she went home. But she couldn't stop thinking about it. She looked at the website again that night. She checked the address 2 more times. It was the same every time. 114 Main Street, Millfield, Ohio. There was even a photo, a small preview image of the building. It looked just like Slice and Soul. She sat at her kitchen table with a cup of tea and thought about what to do. It wasn't her business, really. She was just a customer. But Jake was a good kid. She had watched him build that place from nothing. She remembered when the walls were empty and the oven wasn't there yet, and Jake was painting everything by himself on a Saturday morning. She had stopped to look through the window, and he had waved at her with a big smile, paint on his face. No, she couldn't just say nothing. 3 days later, she came back to the restaurant. This time, she waited until it was quiet. Jake was wiping down the counter. Marcus was in the back. Donna walked up slowly and said, Jake, honey, can I ask you something? Jake smiled. Of course, Donna. What's up? She took a breath. Have you heard of Fast Round? Jake's smile stayed on his face, but something in his eyes changed. The fast food chain? Yeah, I've heard of them. Why? Donna put her phone on the counter. She showed him the Fast Round website, the new locations page, and there it was, 114 Main Street, Millfield, Ohio. Opening soon. Jake looked at the screen for a long time. He didn't move. He didn't speak. His face went very still, like a mask. Thank you, Donna, he finally said. His voice was quiet, very quiet. Donna nodded and left. She looked back once from the door. Jake was still standing at the counter, staring at the phone. He hadn't moved at all. In the back, Marcus was washing dishes. He had no idea what just happened. Jake stood at the counter for maybe 5 minutes, just standing, just thinking. Then he walked slowly to the back of the kitchen. Marcus was still at the sink, washing a big metal bowl. He had music playing on his phone, some hip-hop song, not too loud. He didn't hear Jake come in. Hey, Jake said. Marcus turned around. Oh, hey, you need something? Jake didn't answer right away. He just looked at Marcus. And Marcus felt it. That look. Something was wrong. He turned off the music. What's up? Marcus said. His voice was careful now. Jake put his phone on the counter. The Fast Round website was still open. Marcus looked at the screen. He didn't say anything. His face didn't move, but his hands stopped moving. You want to explain that to me? Jake said. Silence. Marcus put down the bowl. He turned to face Jake, and Jake could see it immediately. The guilt. It was right there on his face. He wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. I was going to tell you, Marcus said. Jake laughed, but it wasn't a happy laugh. It was short and hard. You were going to tell me when? After they put up the fast round sign outside? It's not final yet. Nothing is signed. I mean, nothing big is signed. It's just a letter of intent, Jake said. His voice was getting louder now. Do you know what that means, Marcus? That means you already started the process. Without asking me. Without saying one word to me. Marcus took a breath. I know, and I'm sorry. But Jake, listen, $90,000. We split that, pay back the loan, and we both walk away with real money. Real money, man. You can start something new. Something better. Something better? Jake looked around the kitchen, at the oven they bought together, at the photos on the wall, at the little whiteboard where they wrote the daily specials. I don't want something better. I want this. This is mine. This is ours. Jake, how long? Jake said. How long have you been doing this behind my back? Marcus was quiet. How long, Marcus? About 6 weeks. 6 weeks. Jake closed his eyes for a moment. 6 weeks of working side by side, eating lunch together, laughing, planning the summer menu, and Marcus knew. The whole time, Marcus knew. Get out, Jake said. His voice was very calm now. Sometimes calm is worse than loud. Jake, please, just listen to me. I said get out. Go home. We'll talk tomorrow when I can look at you without wanting to. Just go, please. Marcus took his jacket from the hook by the door. He walked out. The back door closed behind him. Jake stood alone in the kitchen. The oven was still warm. It smelled like dough and tomato sauce. He put his hands flat on the counter and just breathed. That night, Jake didn't sleep. He lay in bed and stared at the ceiling. His mind was going in circles. Angry thoughts, sad thoughts, confused thoughts, all mixed together. He thought about the money, $90,000. Was Marcus right? Was it actually a smart move? Jake did the math in his head. After the bank loan and the split, he would have maybe $32,000. That was real money. He could pay his rent for 2 years. He could travel. He could start over somewhere else. But then he thought about 6 a.m. every morning, the smell of fresh dough, the feeling when a customer took their first bite and closed their eyes because it was so good. The old lady who always sat at table 4. The kids from the high school who came in after basketball practice. The little whiteboard with the daily specials written in Jake's messy handwriting. He couldn't sell that. He just couldn't. But he also couldn't stop Marcus alone. They were equal partners. Marcus had the same rights as Jake. If Marcus wanted to sell, legally he could push for it. Jake knew that. And that thought made his chest feel tight. The next morning, Jake went to the restaurant early. Marcus was already there. He was sitting at one of the tables with 2 cups of coffee. He looked tired, like he didn't sleep either. Jake sat down. He didn't take the coffee. I need to explain something to you, Marcus said, not to make excuses, just, I need you to understand. And then Marcus told him everything, about his mom, about the medicine, about his bank account, about how scared he was. Not just about money, but about failing, about letting Jake down, about the fear that Slice and Soul would close in 6 months and they would both have nothing. Jake listened. He didn't interrupt. When Marcus finished, there was a long silence. Why didn't you just tell me? Jake said. About your mom, about the money. Why didn't you just say something? Marcus looked at his coffee cup. I don't know. I guess I felt ashamed. You were so excited about this place. I didn't want to be the one who said, I'm scared, I'm struggling, I need help. It felt weak. That's not weak, Jake said. That's just being human. Another silence. This one felt a little different, a little softer. I'm still angry, Jake said. I know. Really angry. I know, Jake. But I hear you. I don't agree with what you did, but I hear you. Marcus looked up. His eyes were red. So, what do we do now? Jake was quiet for a moment. He looked around the restaurant, the orange and yellow walls, the old photos of Millfield, his grandmother's sauce recipe written on a card and taped to the kitchen wall. I don't know yet, he said, but I'm not selling to Fast Round. That's the one thing I know for sure. Marcus nodded slowly. Okay. Okay, Jake said. They sat there a little longer, not talking, just sitting. Two people with a broken thing between them, trying to figure out if it could be fixed. So, what happened next? Because this is where the story gets really interesting. Jake spent the whole day thinking. He opened the restaurant, he made the dough, he served customers, but his mind was somewhere else. He kept coming back to the same problem. Marcus needed money, real money, and fast. And Slice and Soul, as much as Jake loved it, wasn't giving them that yet. Not enough, not fast enough. That evening, after closing, Jake sat down with a notebook and a pen. He wrote down everything. How much money they made each week, how much they spent, how much was left. And then he wrote down one question at the top of the page. What can we do differently? He stayed there for 2 hours, writing, crossing out, writing again. And slowly, an idea started to come together. The next morning, he called Marcus. Come in early. I want to show you something. Marcus came in at 7. Jake had papers spread all over the table. Numbers, drawings, notes. Okay, Jake said. I have a plan, but I need you to really listen. Jake's idea was this. Slice and Soul would start doing catering. Not just the restaurant. They would cook for parties, corporate events, school events, weddings. Millfield was small, but Columbus was 40 minutes away. There were companies there, events every weekend, and nobody in the area was doing good, affordable pizza catering. We already have the oven, Jake said. We already have the recipes. We just need a van and a website. We can start small. Marcus looked at the papers. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, How much does a used van cost? About $8,000. I have 5 saved if you put in 3. I have 3, Marcus said, quietly, like he wasn't sure he should say it. Jake looked up. What? I have 3,000. I was saving it for, I don't know, an emergency. But Jake, if this works... He stopped, looked at the numbers on the table. If this works, I can help my mom and we keep the restaurant? That's the idea, Jake said. Marcus sat down slowly. He looked at the plan for a long time. Then he looked at Jake. I'm really sorry. You know that, right? Not just sorry I got caught. Sorry that I did it. Sorry that I didn't trust you enough to just talk to you. Jake was quiet for a second. I know, he said finally. And I'm not saying everything is fine right now. It's not, but I also don't want to throw away 15 years of friendship over one bad decision. He paused. One really bad decision. Marcus almost smiled. Yeah, really bad. The worst, Jake said. But now there was something different in his voice. Something lighter. They called Fast Round that afternoon and told them the deal was off. The woman on the phone was not happy. She talked about the letter of intent, about legal obligations. Jake stayed calm. He had already looked it up. The letter was not a final contract. They could still walk away, and they did. That Friday, Slice and Soul was full again. Same orange walls, same photos of Millfield, same smell of fresh dough and tomato sauce. But something felt different. better. Like the restaurant had survived something and come out stronger on the other side. So that's the story of Jake, Marcus, and Slice and Soul. I love this story for a lot of reasons, but the one thing that stays with me, the thing I keep thinking about, is that moment when Marcus finally told the truth. Not because he had to, not because Jake found out. Well, okay, Jake did find out. But in that kitchen, the next morning, Marcus could have made more excuses. He could have talked about money and business and smart decisions. Instead, he said, I was scared. I felt ashamed. I didn't know how to ask for help. And that changed everything. Because here's the thing about trust. When you break it, it doesn't disappear completely. Not always. Sometimes it just needs time and honesty to come back. Not all the way back, maybe never all the way back, but enough. Enough to sit across from someone at a table with 2 cups of coffee and say, okay, what do we do now? Jake and Marcus kept Slice and Soul. They bought the van 3 months later, a white one, a little old, but it worked. They built a simple website, and their first catering job was a company lunch in Columbus for 60 people. They were so nervous that Jake burned the first batch of dough at 4 a.m, but the second batch was perfect. After that first catering job, they got 3 more calls that same week. Word travels fast when the food is good. By the end of the year, catering was almost half of their income. Marcus sent money to his mom every month without stress. Jake started saving again. And Slice and Soul on Main Street? Well, it's still there. Same orange walls, same photos. And every Tuesday, Donna still comes in for her pepperoni slice and a Coke. She never told anyone what she did that afternoon at the counter. She didn't need to. Some things you do just because they're right. Now, what can we take from this story? A few things, I think. First, money problems are real. They are stressful. And in America especially, where everything is expensive and the pressure is constant, it's easy to make bad decisions when you're scared. Marcus wasn't a bad person. He was a scared person. There's a difference. Second, secrets always come out. Always. In a small town, in a friendship, in a business, the truth finds a way. It's better to say the hard thing early than to have someone else say it for you later. And third, when someone lets you down, you have a choice. You can walk away, or you can ask one more question. Why? Sometimes the answer changes things. Not always, but sometimes. Okay, my friends, that's all for today's episode of Ginger English. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I really hope it was good practice for your English too. If you liked this story, please give us a thumbs up. It helps more people find the podcast. And if you want more stories like this, subscribe to Ginger English so you never miss an episode. Share it with a friend who is learning English. Every little bit helps. This was an A2 level podcast, so the language was simple, but the story, I think, was not simple at all. See you next time. Take care of yourselves. And hey, be honest with the people you trust. It's always worth it.